Alright, if you guys are watching this video, then that means the Pokemon Company and Nintendo have officially announced the Pokemon Presents that's going to be happening for 2026. As we probably expect by now, there was going to be a Pokemon Presents on Pokemon Day. And so we are going to be talking about our predictions now for what we could expect to see inside of this Pokemon Presents, but it'll be kind of boring if I just sit in here and talk with you guys about all of my predictions. So we are keeping the tradition alive with having my good friend Ruffle Rowlet here. So welcome here, dude. How you doing?
Hello, dude. I'm doing all right. What's up?
Yo, man, it's nice to have you. I mean, we've been doing our predictions videos, I think, since like 2021, where we've been always predicting these Pokemon Presents together. So I just wanted to keep the streak going. I think we're on like, what, year 5 now? So it's always fun to do these with
Pretty
you.
much.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, this year, it is, of course, the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. It's a big year for the whole entire franchise. I'm pretty excited. But when it comes to the predictions, I feel like there's only a few things to talk about, and really one of them was only like started I think like a few days ago, so we'll get to that. But I'm saving like the big topic for the end because that's probably what we're going to be talking about the most. But the first one that I've got here, which I'm sure we're going to see, is going to be Pokemon Champions. And Pokemon Champions, we did talk about it last time with our predictions, and at that time we still didn't know too much about what exactly it was going to be like. And when we got that Pokemon Presents last time, they did update us a little bit on like how it's going to work, and it is really just like basically Pokemon Showdown in the sense where you're going to be able to create Pokemon, you're going to be able to like make Pokemon or like rent them or something, and then you can modify their stats and abilities and all that type of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think it's so far, we still don't know in the sense of like if it's paid or if it's going to be a free-to-play game, but so far the information that we've gotten for it has been pretty interesting. I feel like I'm pretty satisfied with it, but I never got to catch up on like how you feel. So like, what are your thoughts on Pokemon Champions?
So, I guess first of all, Champions, like the one thing we do know is that it has to come out this year, right? That's the number one thing. Number two, my feelings on it, I feel like it's like a double-edged sword of a game, if that makes sense. Where like on one hand, it's going to be a great game to sort of separate the competitive scene from the mainline games, right? Because that's one of the issues that mainline games has, is that they sort of have to balance around competitive a lot when they're creating certain things or adding in certain items and things along that nature. But with the removal of, you know, VGC from the mainline games, and instead completely like essentially segregating it off into its own section, into its own thing, it's going to be great for like, I think, the mainline games. However, the negative of it is that I think the existence of Champions is going to potentially take away any sort of competitive like Wi-Fi battling from the mainline games. And then in regards to what I feel about it, like, that's kind of my feeling. It's like I'm worried. I'm happy that they're kind of creating this game to sort of let the competitive people have their thing, but then I'm worried that it's not going to allow us to have our usual, you know, link battles and things like that, you know, the Wi-Fi battling that you normally have in a Pokemon game. That's the one worry. Other than that, I think Champions looks overall good. I'm not a big fan of the whole, like, you know, like I wish if it was just more like Showdown, right? Where you can just put together whatever team you want and just play, right? Like, that's it. You buy it one time, you put together whatever team you want, and you play. Then you can have some mini games and stuff to get like special skins or whatever, like, or if they really want to make money from like microtransactions, have like skins as a thing, because whatever, it's not like important to the overall gameplay. But I don't know if you noticed it, but if you actually look at the website and the explanation for it, you're gonna need to like earn these like I think they're called VP, victory points. I could be wrong about the naming scheme, but I'm just not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of like not that you have to work towards getting stuff, but it's the fact that like there's probably going to be ways to spend money to speed up the process, right? Like, that's just how these things work. That's the usual thing. And the obvious excuse by people is going to be, well, you can still play the game and do it for free, but it's like, yeah, but it's harder. It's intentionally made harder so that, you know, you have to spend money on it. And I don't know if you know this, by the way, but competitive Pokemon, unlike any other esport, it is by far one of the most time-consuming things, right? Like, people don't realize this, but if you don't actually hack a Pokemon in, it takes an obscene amount of money and time to actually get a proper competitive team ready for a tournament. Like for genuinely here, like on a genuine note, you have to do so much work, because if you want to get a specific Pokemon with a specific ability from a specific game, you got to go back and buy that game. Maybe you need a DLC, you need Pokemon Bank, you need Pokemon Home. It's a lot of money to be spent to just get one thing, and then you got to spend they've made it easier over the last few years with the most recent games. They've actively made it easier with the mints, the different mints you can get, different items that will, so you can adjust your stat spreads and stuff like that, and your abilities.
The bottle caps.
They have made it easy. Exactly. They've made it easier, sure, but it's still a very time-consuming process, as opposed to most competitive games where it's just like, are you good at the game? That's the only thing that matters. It's not about this kind of third thing you got to do on the side on top of just being good at competitive, right? So in some way, I'm worried that this game is going to just be a massive grind fest. Not for me personally, but for anybody who is into competitive, right? Like, I may not have the right to say much about it, because maybe competitive players love it. Maybe to them the entire process is great, but it's very off-putting in some way to get into it for someone who, like myself, who isn't that into competitive, right? Like, when you look at it from the outside, if you have to do a lot of grinding. So I feel like Champions is going to benefit early on, right? From a lot of new people coming in, everybody starting from scratch, from zero. It's going to benefit, a lot of people are going to be coming into it from that sort of newbie perspective, and it's going to be great in the beginning. But I feel like after a while, once metas get discovered and stuff, once people figure out the fastest, easiest way, all that kind of stuff, it's just going to become hey, it's just showdown, but with extra steps, and it costs money. So I personally would have preferred if it was just a battle simulator, essentially, but it does feel like it's going to have this whole meta thing of having to grind for resources and stuff, which I think is the one thing that puts me off from it, because I personally just want to play and have fun in the game. And normally I play Pokemon for the journey, and a game like this, if I'm playing it for competitive, I want to just be good at battling. I don't want to have to spend an obscene amount of time getting resources to even come close to some of the people that maybe potentially are spending money to get there quicker. But again, this is just me speculating. It could be that there is nothing pay to win in the entire game at all, and maybe I'm just yapping. But again, just impressions from an outside looking in. And the last thing I will say about Champions before I stop yapping is the fact that we know the game has to come out this year, because they did announce that this year's championship, the World Championship, is going to be taking place in specifically Pokemon Champions. They're going to be using Pokemon Champions to play the competitive VGC tournaments, Worlds and all that, right? Yeah. So they have to release the game early enough that people will have time to prepare teams and stuff, right? So I'm assuming that they will be able to do that. Or if they're going to do some kind of rental thing, or I don't know, but I'm assuming that they would have to make sure that the game is out in time, so people have time to get adjusted to it, figure out the teams, figure out what Pokemon to use, and stuff like that, right? So I'm gonna guess something like May, June, around that time frame, we should expect the game to be out. Maybe earlier. I mean, we'll see, right? But we'll definitely learn the release date on Pokemon Day. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, so I think there's a few things. So the release date for it, I know when that Game Freak Terra hack happened, people discovered that it was supposed to be out, I think in 2025 or 2024 or something. They were trying to have it out much earlier, but they couldn't. So I'm assuming the game is probably further along in development, and like how you said, because it is going to be a part of the World Championships this year, those happen in August, so you would need to give people time to actually battle and accumulate points and stuff. I think you need a certain amount of points to even be able to qualify for the championships and stuff. So they need to give people time. So I feel if they just release this in June and only have 2 months to have people get those points and battle using that, it would be kind of too short, I feel So I feel this game, if we're very lucky, it could even be maybe a shadow drop right after that Pokemon Presents, or at the very least early March or something, or maybe even April, around there, because that still gives a good couple months.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense, right? That would be a good time frame.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is when you mentioned the victory points. So that was the one thing that I was actually really worried about, was when I was watching that last Pokemon Presents, and they were talking about how you're going to be getting victory points, and these VP can be used to be able to modify these stats of your Pokemon, and you can change the nature, and you can use them to even get new Pokemon that you don't have and stuff. I was okay, here's how you got to make this good. You can't make this a pay to win thing, because that was the one thing that I was really worried about. And thankfully, if you look on the Pokemon website for Champions, it actually does say at the bottom that VP can only be earned through playing the game and battling, and cannot be earned through purchases. So that's one good thing that I was actually happy about, because I made like a whole video just on that, because I feel like if they announced like if you wanted 50,000 VP, you can pay $50 right now, that would have definitely ruined a lot of like the excitement for me, because then a lot of people would just be willing to like spend a ton of money on the game and then be able to get like really broken Pokemon really easily. But essentially this is like saying now that you pretty much have to like play the game, do the battles, and every time you win, I'm guessing you might get like an extra bonus amount of VP. But the more you play the game, just as long as you do battles, you're going to be accumulating VP, and then you can use that to be able to get more Pokemon and change stats and stuff. So that's pretty nice, at least.
Right. See, I didn't remember that part, that they included that info at the bottom. But that makes me then wonder what will be their monetization like.
Yeah,
strategy
it's either
like,
the game is paid, I'm guessing, which like maybe it is just like $40 or $50 like on the eShop when you first download it, or like what you said, maybe they'll have like skins and they'll have like other ways of making money. Like maybe you can change like your battle arena, like the backgrounds of it and stuff like that. So.
See, the other thing I thought is maybe the game, like, and this might be a really tinfoil hat theory, and I know this may not like make much sense, but like I was kind of speculating, like, would it be possible that they would kind of bundle the game with home, like in such a way where like if you pay for home, you get the game, right? Like, I know that's unlikely because that would be such a hard thing to explain to someone.
If it's
right?
a
like
subscription game, I'd be kind of upset. Like if they like, because we technically still don't know, but if they say like, oh, Pokemon Champions is going to be like a subscription service where like every month you have to pay $5 or something, I'd be hella disappointed if they do that.
Same. Especially because you can essentially do the same thing. If you really want to competitively battle, you can do the same thing, just doing it in the mainline games. Or
except this would be like if you're an actual VGC player, you would be forced now because you have no other option. This is going to be how Pokemon is going to move now to the competitive scene. So like you would have to be forced to just eat that and have to like keep paying. So that would really suck if you're like an actual player, which none of us are, so we don't have to worry. But like I'm just saying that would really suck for competitive players.
I don't get it. I don't get it though. Like, how will they convince? Like, okay, competitive people, fine, right? Like, you can get them through the door, but how are you going to get non-competitive players to buy into this game?
Did you see that there was like a rumor saying that they wanted to make this, I don't know how true this is, I think it would be sick if they do this, but like there was some rumor that was saying that Pokemon Champions is also going to try to be kind of like the Pokemon like World Tournament from like Black 2 and White 2, where like they're going to have like older like gym leaders and like other characters that they're just going to be adding that you can battle. So that could be kind of like their bait for like the casual people, where it's like, hey, do you want to battle the Hoenn gym leaders? Now you can rematch them in like this Champions setting or something like that, maybe.
See, that would be like peak. Like that would be really interesting.
And like imagine like bringing back like older champions and older trainers. Like I would love that. That would be awesome.
Dude, 100%. But it's funny you say that because I actually had like a point I made in a video I made the other day, specifically about like features in Pokemon, because I don't know if you've seen it with Pokopia that's coming out like next month. But Omori was involved with it somewhat, right? And he was kind of saying something interesting. He was saying that like Pokemon isn't all about just battling, right? And apparently he brought up like secret bases and stuff like that from past games, features that they like to include and stuff. And I made this whole point in my video, like, that's cool and all, but why are those features not there anymore? Like, he's saying these things. He's saying that Pokemon isn't all about battling. Then why are these features not in the mainline games? Instead, they've kind of, again, separated certain features and then put them inside of other products. So you have to spend more money to get a singular feature as a full game instead of it being part of like the mainline games. And in some weird way, I'm a little worried that what we're seeing with Pokopia and with Champions as well is that sort of separation. So I feel like that's, I don't know, man, like something about that worries me a little bit. The fact that Champions is going to be this, even this battle simulator, because like think about it, right? Like sure, it would be cool if we could rebattle the gym leaders and stuff, but I think it would be more fun if that was an actual world tournament in the Generation 10 game. I think that would be more ideal than having it in Champions. I mean, sure, it would be an incentivizing reason to play Champions, but then again, the only reason Champions exists is sort of like removing that from the mainline games, right? So the mainline games no longer have to be competitive and have like a competitive scene and balancing or any of that stuff, right? So I'm a little worried that they're separating certain features and taking those features and making them into entire games, right? Like imagine if we had the Pocopia stuff, but in Gen 10, like where you could build your own little house and base and a little farm and stuff. Like that would be pretty neat. But we're never gonna get that, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm
yeah,
just gonna hope that
actually,
there's
yeah.
something else that's inside of there that'll be like exciting. But like how you also mentioned, it kind of goes both ways, because like even if they also had like the Pokemon World Tournament in Gen 10, that would be awesome and we'd play it and stuff. But then as soon as the next Pokemon games come out, we're not going to be playing Gen 10 anymore, so it would be forgotten anyway. Whereas like Pokemon Champions is probably going to stay now as like the main Pokemon battling thing for like the next, foreseeable future, really. So like that would be cool where they can keep updating that and they can keep adding the newer Pokemon. They can do more like events and stuff where it's like, hey, this week you can challenge, Champion Steven inside of Pokemon Champions or something like that. So I feel like they can make it potentially interesting, but we'll have to see how much they actually care, because if they really just want to make this like the competitive thing and they don't really care about anything with the casuals, then I'm also interested to see how many people are even gonna like buy this or really care if it's just going to be competitive players and there's not much for casuals.
That's true.
And then also I think you were saying like how you were kind of worried about like how they might be removing stuff with like Gen 10 and like other mainline games because now they're moving this to like Pokemon Champions, and I feel like that's probably true, but also at the same time I also don't think that they're gonna like completely like erase having Pokemon battles like online inside of those games. But I feel like they're definitely going to be kind of like watered down. They might not be as like complex as like what you could do before with like all the held items and the different modes and stuff. But like, you know how in like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee you could still do like Wi-Fi battles, but they were very like basic and stuff. I feel like they would probably just have that version for like little Timmy who still wants to battle his friend on the playground but like isn't like a competitive player.
Yeah.
Because people
that's
would be
most
pissed
likely
if they
to be
just
the
got
case,
rid
right?
of it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And also you kind of need to keep some sort of battling feature, because it's it's kind of an identity thing with Pokemon games,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like it's like if you think about like old commercials for Pokemon games, there was always like the link cable, right, connecting between the games to trade, to battle. There's always, those things. So removing, I feel like, battling against your friends or whatever, that would almost be the equivalent of removing Pokeballs from the franchise, right?
Yeah.
From the games.
Yeah, it's a
which
very
is kind of
staple.
ridiculous, to
Yeah.
do. Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm probably still a little bit like looking forward to it, but kind of like worried a little bit to see exactly how they're gonna go about it. But I do feel like this Pokemon Presents will probably be like the last like big kind of push that they give us for the info before it comes out, because I can't really see them waiting much longer. So it'll be interesting to see then, because I do want to know, like, is this game going to be paid? Is it going to be like a one-time purchase? How much is it going to be? That type of stuff, because I think that's going to be really kind of the deciding factor for a lot of people if they're interested in getting this game or not,
I mean, I'm gonna be real. Like, I would prefer it if it's just a one-time purchase.
Oh,
like
same.
you buy it once and you have it. Because I'm sorry, but subscriptions to competitive battling would be
I'm
just
not
stupid.
I think most people will keep playing on Showdown if that's the case, because I don't want to keep paying. Like, I don't even pay for Pokemon Home. Like, I don't like do any of the subscriptions for Pokemon. I just don't really care that much. But yeah.
No, it's just ridiculous, because then you'd be asking, this is why I bring up the Pokemon Home thing, right? When I'm starting to like think like they could bundle it with Home in such a way where,
they could.
It would sort of justify it, quote unquote, much more, because that way people are more willing to get it, because then it's like, oh, I'm getting Home and I'm getting Pokemon Champions. But like, I think there's only really two ways this can go, right? Either it's going to be a buy-to-play game. You purchase it one time, you get it, or it's going to be free-to-play. Like, I think free-to-play is a highly possible thing. And the reason I say that is because if you think about it, if you take most of the Pokemon games that we do have, right, like that are non-mainline games and aren't just your regular spin-offs that are console-bound, but are, think of Unite or, Masters EX or any of these. These are all free-to-play technically, right? And all their money is made through microtransactions of some kind. So I feel like the most likely and best scenario for them, especially unless they decide to go and take down Pokemon Showdown, right? Unless they themselves go and decide to like strike it down or DMCA.
Yeah, that would be insane, because that's like the one thing that they've always kind of avoided, just because they know themselves, I think deep down, that like a lot of players use this and they would be extremely pissed if they removed it, because they obviously have the tools. They could easily come and be like, this is using our property. Like, they could easily get a case going and get that taken down. But they never have for so many years because they're still aware of just how many people use it. But a lot of people were saying, like, could this be the thing where it's like once Pokemon Champions gets released, they finally take action against Showdown to like remove it? I feel like that would create a ton of backlash. That would be insane.
Oh, it would definitely create backlash for sure, especially for that community, because that's okay. Let's just put it like this: most people that play Showdown don't necessarily play the mainline competitive scene, right?
Yeah.
Like people who are in Showdown don't always compete in regular VGC, which makes sense if you think about it, right? Because it's free to play. So the thing for me is, if they don't take Showdown down, right, but then they try to start charging, like, let's say a monthly fee for champions, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, would just be like, why would I pay for this? Why would I pay for a game that has less Pokemon, requires more grinding to get the team I want to use, and I have to pay for it monthly, right? Like, that's ridiculous. So free to play makes the most sense, because with free to play, they're essentially allowing, like, let's put it like this: if the game is, let's say, if they charge for it and it's like $40, let's say the price is like $40, right, to buy the game. Now, okay, that's $40, and if you're an average person who doesn't necessarily know what this is, right? Because let's be real, Champions isn't going to be as heavily promoted or as heavily paid attention to, let's just say like that, as Generation 10. Like, the regular average person isn't going to interact with Pokemon Champions as easily or as likely as they will with a brand new generation, because a brand new generation means a new region, new Pokemon, the kind of stuff that, like, the average Pokemon fan cares more about, right? Competitive is a niche within a niche, right? It's such a small subsection of the fan base, which it looks large when you see like videos about it and stuff like that, and the World Championship and stuff. Sure, but if you take the grand scale of Pokemon fans and like the big, entire collective of like regular people, everything, you have a bunch of people who only play Pokemon Go and don't even know there's a competitive scene on the mainline games, right? You have a bunch of people who only ever play the mobile games or only ever play the mainline games, who only do competitive, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if they want to get as many people through the door and convince as many people as possible to get into competitive, because let's be real, that is what this game is. Like, even if they do have the whole battling like gym leaders or trainers from the past, that's cool, but that's nice and all, but in reality, you need to convince the new people to be really into battling, right? That's what this entire game is about. It's really all about battling. So you got to convince them and pull them through the door. If you charge for the game, it's going to be harder. If you charge a lot for the game, it's dead on arrival, okay? It's just DOA, like, no question about it. Like, okay, let's put it like this. Pokopia is going to be $70. Now, I know a lot of people are going to buy it. I have people in my DMs who are like, I cannot wait, right? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting to play the game. Yeah. But the thing is, $70 is a lot. Like, it is a chunky amount of money, especially in current day, right? It is very difficult to justify spending $70, what is on essentially a Pokemon version of, I guess, Animal Crossing mixed with Dragon Quest, like, Worlds, or whatever it's called.
Like a life sim, like, type of game, basically, which I'm personally not super into, so I'm probably not going to get it. But I know there is like a whole audience of like just casual people out there who love those like cozy types of games where you're just like building your own little area and making it expand and stuff. So I feel like it'll still find its audience for sure. But
for sure. But it's more so about like that specific price point, right? And getting people in. If you like, of course, the people, like, there's always going to be, right, like, that group of people who are going to buy it no matter what. That's an undeniable, reality. There's always going to be that group of people who are going to buy it. Doesn't matter if it costs $100 or $20, they're going to purchase it, right? Who are just into these types of games. They're going to get it. But again, it's not about getting those people. Like, the guaranteed sales, they're guaranteed for a reason. But it's more so about the people who aren't as easily convinced to go and buy the game, right? The people like you, for example, or somebody like myself, who I'm going to be playing Pokopia mainly for like being able to like make videos, and also if I play it, then I have a point of view where I can actually judge the game on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can have it for content purposes.
Course, exactly. Yeah. So it's different for me because I have a net benefit of playing the game versus the average person, right? But what this brings into play for me is that Pokopia has, in general, like, a very high price point for what it is like what it looks like and what it is, not graphically or anything, but just what it is as a product, right? Which is, let's just be real, it is basically just Animal Crossing Pokemon. Like that's pretty much what it is.
More or
Like
less,
there's no really way. Yeah, it's just all it is. It's Stardew Valley but with Pokemon reskins, right? So nothing wrong with that. It might do amazingly well, but I think the price point is going to put a lot of people off. So for Champions, it's the same principle. If you put the price point too high, it's gonna push some people away.
Yep.
Like again, myself, if you take out the YouTube side of my existence, right? If I looked at Pokopia and I saw it from a distance as just not the YouTuber Ruffle Rallet, but just me, the guy,
yeah,
I wouldn't even consider it. Like I wouldn't even
Yep.
consider purchasing it. It would just be such a no for me. And that's not the only one. The other one also is Champions. Same principle there. It's like if they charge more than say 35 to 40 bucks for it, if they're asking for like 60, 70, again, it's going to sell to the audience that cares for it, but it's going to have a hard time convincing non-competitive people to come in and spend the money. Like, for example, myself. I wouldn't do it because I don't play competitive. Again, I would do it for a video and stuff like that, right? But purely from the perspective of an average player of Pokemon, somebody who loves Pokemon as a franchise, I just wouldn't do it because it's a lot for something that maybe I personally don't enjoy. And I think there's a lot of people that will be in that position. So I think they need to like make it free to play to make sure that they get as many people, because what you want to do with a game like this, like with Champions, is you want to convince people to come back and get into this and commit themselves to doing more of this, right? Because Champions, like it's weird to say, but Champions' biggest competition is going to be other live service games that are competitive. Like, I know this sounds super odd, but the biggest competition for it is going to be things like League of Legends or even Pokemon Unite or really any other competitive thing, because you got to think about it. The average person can only dedicate themselves to 1 or 2 games, right? To play consistently, live service. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No,
there
I
is
get
not
you.
an infinite. Yeah, it is not like an infinite amount of time in a singular day to commit yourself to playing, you know, like
those
let's say
online types of
Fortnite
games.
and
Yeah.
Counter-Strike, and Valorant.
For me,
and-
really,
and-
like
and,
the
you
only
know,
one that
whatever.
I've gotten into recently is Marvel Rivals. I've been playing that kind of often. But
Yeah.
yeah, I get what
But
you mean.
that's the thing, right? And you can only commit yourself to a few of those, right? You cannot like it's
Yeah.
unfeasible to play them all, be good at them, have fun in them all. You know, if you play like 5 of them a day, like this is just not reasonable because you're just gonna get fatigued after a while. So with Champions, they're aiming, and the best way to get that audience is to make it free, right? Make the barrier to entry as low as possible. Get as many people in as possible. Convince them that this is the thing they should dedicate their time to, right? That they should be playing competitive in this game. They shouldn't go and play League of Legends. They shouldn't play whatever else. They should just play this, right? You got to make it free to play. You have to,
Yeah.
because your competition is free to play. And I know it's dumb to say competition, but it really is what it is. It is competition,
Yeah,
right?
I think,
'Cause you
yeah,
are
I
making
know
a
what
live
you mean,
service
because you're
game.
talking about like competition in the sense of like the amount of free time that people have, where I think some people might misunderstand you in the
yes.
video. Some people might misunderstand and think
Yeah,
you're saying
yeah.
like competition, like, oh, well, this is a shooter, bro. What are you talking about? Like, no, that's not what he means.
Exactly. Yeah, no. That's not that. You're correct. That's you clarified it 100% for me perfectly, because
Yeah.
yes, that is correct. I'm not talking about like, oh, Counter-Strike competing with Pokemon Champions.
Yeah, I get what
even
you
though
mean.
one
I
is a
got you,
shooter, one
yeah.
is, you know, it's not like that, but more so, like you said, it's more about like the time we have as people is limited. So if you want to make sure that people spend their time on your game, you gotta let them, like, give them a barrier of entry that's very low, very
Yeah,
low.
I
It's
agree.
very, very easy to enter in.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm looking forward to it. I guess we'll see, though. We'll get more information. I mean, after this Pokemon Presents, we're either going to come out of it saying, like, yeah, this Pokemon Champions game looking pretty good, man. I'm excited. Or we're going to be like, bro, what the hell are they doing with this? I have no idea. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, the second thing that I got here, this is actually a topic that would not even be in this video if it wasn't for like a few days ago when this information supposedly broke out. But we had Riddler Koo talking about this, and then we have other people talking about it too. But apparently he was teasing that Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen are apparently getting like re-releases on the Nintendo Switch, and this was apparently also then backed by like Chinese insiders and leakers on like forums who were then giving more information about it, saying that this is not going to be connected to the Nintendo Switch online service, like it's going to be their own separate like versions on the eShop. And I know there's been like some people kind of throwing around a price point like it's going to be $30. Personally, I haven't seen anybody like any of
45.
the leakers saying that. I feel like that's just like one account that said that and everybody's kind of like repeating that information like it's a fact. But I do know that like
Yep.
all of this stuff about like the not it being like not NSO and then having like the re-releases on the eShop has been a big topic right now. And so it's been discussing like a lot of people online with like what they're saying on how they feel about it and everything. But I kind of want to know your thoughts. Like, you know, do you care about this? How do you feel about if like FireRed and LeafGreen were re-released?
So I think, again, same thing as like with Champions, positives and negatives, right? There's a double-edged sword to it. On one hand, I think it's positive because yippee, like people who've never played FireRed, LeafGreen, which there are a lot of, by the way, now, if you think about it. Pokemon's getting old.
Dude,
and
don't
these
get me
games
started.
are old.
The comments when I see like people are like, dude, my first Pokemon game was Pokemon Sun and Moon. I'm like, oh my god, bro. I feel like so old.
It
Like
hurts.
when I see that, I'm like, oh my god.
Dude, it literally is like a dagger to the fucking soul when I hear shit like that. Because I see people like, yeah, first game Oras, first game like, I saw somebody was like, first game was Sword and Shield. I was like, what
my
the
God.
actual?
Dude, that's
no
crazy.
wonder you're okay with what they're doing with the games. Is that was the first thing you ever played. But in terms of Fire Leaf Green, I think it's like I said, the positive thing is yes, oh my god, yes, people get to finally play a peak Pokemon Gen 1 game. You know, not to say that we need more Gen 1. We have enough Gen 1 as is, but rather we now finally get to see this game on an actual newer console, you know, and you get to finally play. I mean, of course, you could just emulator it, let's be honest, but like, it's not like everybody understands how emulators works. Not everybody has the time to go and set up an emulator or bother downloading it or has a computer. Some people maybe only have a Switch. So it'll be nice that they get access to something like that. So that is cool in itself. The other thing, though, is it is just another re-release, right? It is just the same thing again, something we've already played a million times. So that side, I'm like, I'm more excited, I think, like the other leakers saying that we're going to get the XD Gale of Darkness and Colosseum stuff. Like, that's more exciting to me. That being on NSO and stuff, that's way more exciting, which I think we already know that is coming. I think that was
that was in the Switch 2 Direct like last year. We already knew that was confirmed be.
Yeah, so that I think is more exciting than Fire Red Leaf Green, you know, being like re-released or anything. Though, again, I mostly think the negative side of that comes from the fact that, like I said, I think it would be cool, like, again, for new people to, like, new people to experience it. But for us who have already played these games, we already know them inside out. So I don't feel like there's enough there to justify me going and buying it, unless, of course, they do add some updates, right? They do add some things to make it worthwhile. Of course, you know, home compatibility being one of them. That's the number one. Adding in, you know, maybe fixing up some things that weren't fixed up. I think there's like, I forget what it's called. Is this one cave they had in Fire Red Leaf Green? I don't remember if it was, what was it called again? It was like some kind of cave which you could enter, and the goal was to have like some sort of weird connection between it and Ruby and Sapphire, I think, but they never did anything with it. Like, they never completed it. I don't know if it was it alternate cave or something like that? I don't remember.
I remember what you mean. I like vaguely remember something about it. I don't remember exactly. Was it on one of the Sevi Islands, that thing? I think it might have been.
Yeah,
it's not a part of Kanto.
So. Yeah, I think it's an altering cave. I think altering cave was the name of it.
Yeah, it does sound kind of familiar, yeah.
Yeah. So it was connected to Emerald, and it was supposed to have like a mystery gift like connection thingy there. So I hope something like that is returned and like fully completed, because if I remember correctly, on one, I don't know if it was Ruby and Sapphire that didn't have it completed, or if it was Emerald that didn't have it completed. I don't know which one, but I know one side wasn't fully completed. I think there was some kind of cave like that. That's all I remember. But basically, I would just love it if they brought back stuff like that and maybe added some more things. I think it's highly unlikely they would add anything. If the only thing I would expect them to actually do is just add home compatibility, and of course the mystery gifts that were, you know, any and all mystery gifts that would have been available will be made available, right? As for pricing, this is where I'm the most worried. You've seen how much they charge for, I think it was Mario Galaxy bundle, right?
Oh my god, dude. $70 for those two games, yeah.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, man. I am, like, my expected cost that I thought they might charge for these two games, Fire Leaf Green, was like $45, which I think is too much.
For
like,
each?
still, I think that's still too much. No, just for a bundle, right?
Oh, okay.
It was like $45.
That's still really high.
But I will be honest, I have a feeling that they're gonna just sell them individually for somewhere around there, like 50 or some shit. I know that's like crazy to say, but
I mean,
that
rumor
Nintendo
was $30.
Been,
which I'm still gonna say, if that is true, I'm gonna be still very disappointed. Like $30.
That is too high.
Yeah, no, I've already said it before. I've said it on Twitter. The maximum like tolerance that I have for this is $15. That's the most I will pay for like a copy of FireRed on my Switch or a copy of LeafGreen or whatever. If it is more than $15, if it's like 20, 25, 30, at that point, I'm going to be like, bro, I have a hacked 3DS. I'm perfectly fine with just playing my games on there. But if it's like $10, if it's like $15, I'll be like, all right, I don't care. I'll just have that to play in my free time. But like you mentioned, this is likely going to be just exact ports of like the GBA games. Like I don't think they're going to be like really tweaking anything. They're not going to be like updating anything. Like, and those games have like, you know, one of the biggest things about those games is that they still have like the physical special split, which was like the big issue around that time, where like so many Pokemon's attacks and stuff are just like working completely differently because they had like types dedicated to if your attacks are physical or special and stuff. It was like really weird, which was Gen 4 that came after that kind of fixed all of that. So I don't think that they would actually like tweak any of that type of stuff, and it would just be like, yeah, if it's just like the exact same ROM that we download from online right now but just put on the Switch, and now there's like home compatibility where you can catch Pokemon in there and then transfer them into like the Gen 10 games or whatever. If it's $30, that's a little bit too much for me. I'm just gonna be like, bro, I'm happy with, you know, playing them on my hacked 3DS. But if it's like 10 or $15, I'll be like, you know what? I don't really care. I'll get it, I guess, to just have something to play on my free time if I have my Switch with me or something. But the price is really going to be the most important thing.
Yep. No, I agree.
So, yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I feel like if it is $30, the most like value that's going to be for is just people who've never played Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen. I guess then you can be like, well, $30 for me for a new Pokemon game is not that bad. I never grew up playing these games. I mean, I guess for you, then sure, you know, you'll probably be excited or get it and whatnot. And there is also the aspect of, well, there's people that are like really upset about this in the sense that they're like, oh my god, of course it's just Gen 1, man. Like, why can't they do anything with the other games? But I do feel like if this does well on the eShop, like if they do have a lot of people who buy this, then hopefully it does show the Pokemon Company and Game Freak that, like, you know, there is interest for these older games, and maybe that'll make them want to bring like Emerald and Ruby Sapphire or Gold Silver Crystal and some other games too, you know?
No, I agree.
So yeah.
But yeah, we'll see, you know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I mean, yeah, I'm probably just gonna be not really like super hyped about that, but I guess for people who never played, you know, for you, I guess it'll be cool. You can kind of experience it, and I will still say, like, even with all the things like the physical special split and all of that, I think for me personally, this is still my favorite version of Kanto. Like, I like it more than Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee personally. I think FireRed and LeafGreen is just more fun to play, but yeah, I guess, you know, people are upset because it's just Gen 1 again, but, you know, maybe if they do well, then it'll have them bring other games too. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how exactly they're gonna do that reveal. And I think, you know, for the Pokemon anniversary, I mean, we've been talking so much about like how if they're gonna do like a collection of having like the classic Pokemon games or something. But I guess they're just gonna do FireRed and LeafGreen supposedly, which I guess isn't all that bad. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Yep.
All right, well, with that then, I think there's only one other topic to talk about, and this is probably going to take up a majority of our discussion because this is really the only big thing that everybody is very much excited for, and that is this year we are going to be getting the 10th generation of Pokemon, and that is, of course, going to be announced in this Pokemon Presents. That is the big thing that everybody is looking forward to. And yeah, I will say, like, I'm sure, you know, with our channels, me and Ruffled have both been like talking a lot about like the leaks and everything that have come out from the Terra hack. So we're going to be kind of going over a little bit of that inside of this video. So if you guys don't want like potential spoilers, you can click off this video because we're going to be kind of discussing that type of stuff in here too. So if you want to be like genuinely surprised when they reveal it and see everything for the first time, you can definitely just, you know, watch the Pokemon Presents when it happens in a few days. But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm very much looking forward to Gen 10. This is probably, I would say, the most excited I've been for a new generation in a while, I would say, just for like what I've been seeing, what I've been kind of hearing about in terms of rumors and stuff. But I want to hear like your kind of thoughts. Like, how are you feeling right now at like your interest and excitement for Gen 10?
So I'll kind of keep it just brief. I'm excited. I am also cautiously optimistic about it. Based on all the leaks we've seen, like, there's not really much I can say because it kind of looks very much like very similar just to Scarlet and Violet, but the stuff that we're being told about the game, it doesn't get me like mega excited in a sense. Like, I'm not sitting here like, oh my god, it's gonna be the best Pokemon game ever. Yeah. But it does kind of paint a picture that looks somewhat positive. So like, to be honest, like the leaks, they're intriguing, but I am going to definitely wait until we get the actual reveal,
Oh,
right?
for sure, yeah.
Like once we get the actual reveal, that's what I'm gonna like, because I'm gonna try to keep. I really mean it. Like it's definitely best to just keep expectations low.
Especially for Pokemon, we know that with experience, like absolutely. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for it because just like with what I've been hearing about it and stuff, it seems like it's going to be pretty exciting. So, I mean, we're expecting these games to be called Pokemon Winds and Wave or Pokemon Wind and Wave, something like that. And I think just the idea of it has been kind of exciting to me because it's going to be kind of like a game where there's just a bunch of islands everywhere, and you're going to have like a main way of traversing in the sense of like having, I guess, a boat or something, or it might be like a Pokemon, but you can kind of like sail the seas and find and discover islands on your own and find rare Pokemon on there. And like I would assume that like because Scarlet and Violet were already open world games, they're not going to revert from that and make it linear again. So it's going to be like full freedom to like really go over to like whatever island you want, whatever one you feel like going to. And I think like that type of it's basically like Alola, but like you have like the freedom now to really just go wherever you want and like do it in your order instead of like them forcing you like, okay, we're gonna go to this island first, and now that you've done all the stuff here, you're gonna go to this island. So that aspect excites me because I really love kind of just having like those types of RPGs where you have like that deep exploration to really just do whatever you want and go wherever you want and explore and find hidden items and rare Pokemon and all of that. But what are your thoughts on like the island setting supposedly?
Oh, I mean, at first I wasn't that excited about islands because I was like, oh man, I'm not super excited about like, another Alola essentially. But the way that it's been described based on the leaks and the stuff we've seen, I am excited because it looks more like it's going to be a Hoenn type of thing, right? It's obviously islands, so yes, very much Alola with islands, but it does seem like the vibe is going to be more like Hoenn, and the fact that based on the leaks, diving is coming back. So that has me excited, and the fact that, like you just brought up, the ability to go anywhere at any point, and the fact that like I think the biggest thing for me, the biggest takeaway was you can go from literally the beginning of the game to the final boss of the game right from the beginning. If you really want to, you can do it. That I hope is I really hope that is true. And of course, my biggest thing I will say in regards to anything to do with like the open world and stuff is give me a reason to explore it, right? Give me a purpose to go and search the smallest nooks and crannies. Like that is the thing that I desire so badly from Pokemon games, because I feel like we haven't really had that with the more recent games. It feels like you have a lot of open, wide spaces with nothing to do, right? Just open, wide areas with nothing to do. And at most, when you do search for stuff, it's just like TMs and stuff. Like, I feel like I really hope that they will make sure that they make the world worth exploring. That is my biggest thing. And if they do add in diving and stuff, dude, the entire ocean could be filled with so many secrets that they could just add in. Like, that's my biggest thing. Is like, I hope that they actually put a lot of effort into that. You can dive in anywhere, look for treasure or whatever else out there. Like, the adventure is what matters. The journey is what matters to me in this game. And I hope they make the adventuring part of it actually fun. So that's my biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean that's like the thing with the rumors and everything is it's saying that apparently the world of this game is going to be significantly larger than Scarlet and Violet's, and I already thought that those games were pretty big. Like I wasn't feeling like those games were way too small and there wasn't much to explore, because I remember like those big areas in Scarlet and Violet, I was still like running around a lot in there for a couple hours just exploring everything and all of that. But I do completely agree with you in the sense of like there really needs to be something to incentivize you to explore and like look for deep treasure and stuff like that, and I hope that they kind of figure out something that they can do. It's kind of difficult with Pokemon because like in like a more like traditional like RPG game, like usually they have just like really cool like equipment for like your characters to fight with, or like they have like really rare swords or something like that, or like a really cool piece of armor that gives you amazing abilities. Where Pokemon is not like that type of game, so they can't really have just something like that where it's like if you take the time and effort to actually go and explore this crazy dungeon, you can just discover something like that. Because all the Pokemon are what you're doing the fighting with. But maybe they could still do that in the sense of like some really rare Pokemon are just hidden away in like really like kind of deep areas where you have to kind of be like really smart about it and kind of explore to find them. Because I did kind of feel like Pokemon Legends Arceus kind of gave me that feel where it's like you could catch like the Sinnoh starters in those games with like Chimchar and Turtwig and Piplup, but they weren't just like randomly running around on the routes and stuff. Like you had to like really kind of like discover like those little islands where like Chimchars would be hiding out and stuff. So I think if they can kind of do something like that, it would be really nice. And then like what you mentioned with the diving, I would love for the entire region to be diveable, but I know that's kind of a too big of an ask. Like it's probably not going to be like the entire ocean. You can just dive wherever you want. It might be just like what you said with like Hoenn, where like there's going to be certain like deep water zones maybe where you can dive in and kind of look for treasure and Pokemon underneath. But even that, I feel like if you can have like full control underwater to like swim your trainer around, like look up and down and stuff, like that could be really cool. So I'm very much excited for like the exploration aspect of these games.
Same.
But yeah, I mean, besides that, I don't know how much else we know. Like one of the things that hasn't been leaked about really with these games is really kind of like the starters or anything like that. But personally, I don't know how you're feeling about like the starters or like how much you care about them. But like for me personally, I'm kind of hoping that the grass starter is something pretty cool that I like, because I like to kind of have different starters that I pick throughout the new games. And I don't think I've picked a grass starter since I think Rowlet in Pokemon Sun and Moon, or maybe even Chespin.
Okay.
Like I don't know. It's been a while since I picked a grass starter. It was a while since I picked a water one, but Quaxley I thought was cool, so I picked Quaxley in Scarlet and Violet after a while. Usually I just go with fire, but I don't know. Do you care about like that type of stuff or not really?
So about starters, it's funny you bring it up because there is actually some stuff that I can say about it that just popped up like yesterday of when we're recording this.
Oh, okay.
It actually has been known for a bit now, but we do kind of know what the animals are going to be. We don't know which typing they each are representing, but we do know the animals though, which apparently are a dog slash hyena, so some kind of dog, a chick, so like a little chicken ostrich type thing, a little chick,
Okay.
and then a lizard of some kind. I don't know what kind of lizard it was again. I think I did get a message about it, but something along the lines of like a chameleon or something, right?
Okay.
So actually not a hyena, sorry, it was a dingo. So like kind of a dingo puppy, something like that. A little chick bird looking thing, and then a chameleon lizard of some kind. So those are the three that are being rumored at the moment. And there has been like hints. I think there was like a rumor that came out just the other day, saying something along the lines of like one of them is going to be slimy, large, bulbous tail, deep purple eyes, almost feminine. I'm guessing that could be the grass type. Thick green brow, little dark feet, almost like an angry baby. Could be for the little bird.
Mm-hmm.
And then puffy front side, tongue constantly out. That could be for the dog. So those are the three animals that are being rumored, and this is coming from people that like sources that have been correct about a bunch of other stuff. So I wasn't believing it at first because like it's just anybody can say like these are going to be the starters, but it's coming from the same people that have access to like the Terra leaks and stuff. So that's the starter stuff that I've heard. As for what typing each one matches to, I don't know. I have no clue, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty much in terms of what I would want. I'm fine with those three things I just mentioned. I wouldn't mind like actually having like a chameleon, a little bird, and a dingo would be pretty cool because we haven't really had a dog starter Pokemon at any point, have we? Right? Like I don't think we have.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm trying to.
Yeah, so I feel like it would be really cool to actually get one because we've had monkeys, we've had we've had birds in some form or shape, right? But I don't think we have ever had a dog. We have had, I guess, Snivy is kind of a snake.
Yeah.
Haven't had a chameleon. We haven't. So I don't know. I'm curious, but those are the three that I've heard about, and I like all of them. All three sound decent to me. So I'm on board with those, to be honest.
Do you have like a specific type that you're hoping for? Like what did you pick in Scarlet and Violet? What was your starter?
Oh God, Scarlet and Violet. It was Fuecoco. No, was it Fuecoco? No, it was Meowscarada. I went for Sprigatito, so I went for Meowscarada as my So that was what I chose there. I would personally hope if the doggo in this game is a fire type, I'd want to go for that, because I don't know. I think I just want a fire type because I always almost use only fire and grass. I've never used water.
Really?
So if the water type can like blow me away, I would love to finally go for a water type, but it's usually tradition to be grass or fire for me. It's like I never choose water ever. Even Totodile being like one of my favorite fucking starters, I still went for Cyndaquil.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think for me, I've picked every type, but I'm pretty sure water has been kind of like one of the more ones that I haven't chosen as much, which is why I was like waiting for like something to finally be like, give me a water type to choose, because I picked Totodile. I think after that I picked Oshawott, I think, in like Black 2, I think I picked, and then I picked Quaxley in Scarlet and Violet. But usually I pretty much always go fire. Like that's like the most that I've always picked. Like I picked Torchic and Charmander and Chimchar and Score Bunny. Like I always go fire up most of the time, and sometimes I go grass. But yeah, I'm hoping that the grass starter is pretty good because that's like what I'm really hoping to go for. But I guess we'll see. And that. But do you have any other hopes when it comes to the gameplay stuff? Because I'll give you one of mine. Like one of the biggest things that I have that I really am praying that they can do. Actually, there's two, but one that they like actually messed up in Scarlet and Violet, in my opinion, is with the gym leaders. Please just have level scaling so that the Pokemon scale to like what part of the game. Because like even though they said in that game, they were like, well, you actually have the freedom to challenge whatever gym you want. It technically was a lie because there's still like a level order. So like you can't just go to like one of the gym leaders all the way at the end and they're going to have like level 50s that they're going to send out against like your level 2 starter or whatever. So I'm hoping that they make it so like, because it's not really super difficult. Like you have to do, there's 8 gym leaders, you'd have to make 8 configurations, so you'd have to have 64 teams. Like they don't need that much time to come up with 64 teams for all of the gym leaders or like for all of the like gym leaders together in the sense of like a game. So like you can definitely make it so like, you know, if I go to like a psychic gym leader at the beginning of the game, they send out like a level 7 Abra. If I go to that same character at the very end of the game, they'll send out a level 50 Alakazam instead. Like you can definitely make that, and I feel like that would make the game so much more fun. It would be so much better for like the replayability aspect because you could go in a completely different order just to see what the gym leaders teams would be like and how different the adventure would feel. So that's like one of my biggest hopes, but I don't know if you have any other things like that you really want to see.
Oh, honestly, for me, I just hope like, I mean, there's a million things, but I think the one that matters to me more than anything is like sort of how do I put this? Like the fluidity of the game, like the actual flow of the game. Because one thing I hate about like Pokemon games with like a passion, especially newer games, is how much time we spend just yapping with people about shit that doesn't matter before we actually get to go and actually play the game and have fun, right? Like ZA is a prime example of that. You start with the train. You have to spend an obscene amount of time in these cutscenes that aren't fun, by the way. And I do hope like they did mention like voice acting, like leaks have said voice acting will be in this game, which would be interesting because that would at least make the scenes more interesting, where I don't have to sit and just read a bunch of walls of text with
and just keep
uninteresting information.
Yeah.
Exactly. At least there's voices. At least that adds something to it. But when I say flow, I really mean like I want to just play the game. I don't want the game to constantly hold my hand and force me into and stuff like that's why like what you said with the the whole open world, go anywhere you want to, take on any gym leader. That is exactly what that needs. That flow, right? The ability to just do whatever you want, have fun with the game in your own way, and not be forced. Like again, I don't mind games that take you in a specific direction. It's fine, but you got to make that process fun. If it's just hand-holding you and forcing you to do certain things just because the game is like, nope, I cannot let you go have fun. Fun is not allowed until you spend 3 hours in a tutorial. That's all I care about. Just remove that. Don't force me into tutorial for 3 hours. And I honestly, I would be so happy. That's already going to put the game in like a 6 out of 10 territory right away. And anything else puts it higher. You know what I mean? Like... Yeah, it just that's my biggest thing is like just make the flow of the game actually decent. But yeah, that's pretty much that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, bro. It's so weird with Pokemon because I feel like they do it good in one game and then they immediately like do 3 steps back because I feel like I don't know about you, but personally, when I played Scarlet and Violet, I actually thought that they did a pretty decent job at like making you have full freedom with the game and like opening up everything pretty quickly. Like I know like you start the game, Nimona comes to your house, she's like, okay, here's the Pokemon, you pick your Pokemon, you battle her, you meet Arvin on your way up to like the main like school like city or whatever. You get there, you go into like one of the classes, you meet all the characters, and then really once you get outside, that's it. You have the full freedom now. You can go wherever you want. You can do everything. But then it's like the next game, it's like Legend ZA. It's like you get out from this train and then they're like, okay, now we're gonna battle these people. We're gonna get out of this battle zone. Now you're gonna go back to the hotel. Now we're gonna teach you about this. Here's how to catch Pokemon. Here's a promotion match. Here's what this is gonna be like. Now we're gonna go meet Emma. And it's like during all of this, if you try to walk anywhere out of like where they're trying to make you go, they're just like, hey, where do you think you're going? You're supposed to be over here. And it's like this is like for the first 3 hours of the game, like all the way until like I think you reach like rank X or something before you have like the full freedom to like go to whatever zone you want, catch whatever Pokemon, do whatever side quest. And it's like, how did you go from Scarlet and Violet like giving you everything in like an hour to like having me do everything for like an hour and a half, like 2 hours of all of this to like give me full freedom to the game? It's just so weird. It's like It feels like they don't talk with
I
each
agree.
other at all, like about like the feedback that they get and like the good things about each game. It's so weird.
That is incredibly true. Like I can 1000% agree with you on that.
I vividly like remember like when I played ZA, I was like, how is this taking so long? Like I thought they finally nailed like having like seamless like streamlined tutorials basically, because I thought that Scarlet and Violet did a pretty decent job, and then I was just like, this is awful. So like I'm hoping that they can fix that with Gen 10, bro, because like if they make us do like the like, because Alola is notorious for this, where like that first tutorial island is god awful with
Oh
how
god.
much like
Oh, it's
they
so
make you
bad.
like they make you go to like that trainer school and learn about all the status effects, and like, oh my god, dude, I was like actually so angry playing that game like in the beginning part, where it's like they like after like that first totem battle, like which is like the first like what 3 or 4 hours of the game, that's when it's like finally now you can do whatever you want, and it's like, bro, that just took forever. So I'm hoping that because this is an island game, they don't make like a tutorial island and have that be like a really like large part of the game, because that's really going to kind of sour the first impression, I feel like, for a lot of people. But if they can make the game like have, you know, full freedom, and like you can have like an easy way to be able to do all of that, it's going to be fun. And like what you mentioned too, with like how they're saying that once you get past the tutorial aspect and once you do have full freedom with the world, that is when like you have the ability to go to the final boss if you want to, if all of that is true, and you
Yeah.
can beat the final boss somehow, and then if you can do that, you'll get to the credits. If they can do all of that, and like if the beginning part of the game with the tutorial isn't super long, that's going to make speed runs for this game so much fun to see, just to see like how people come up with
Oh,
crazy
100%.
strategies to like bypass the tutorial and then like immediately get to the final boss in some crazy cheesy
Yep.
way, and then being able to like beat the final boss and like, you know, get to the credits. Like it's going to be a lot of fun to see that, because like that's one of the
Be like any percent Magikarp speedrun Pokemon Gen
yeah,
X.
exactly.
Like that would be just
Yeah.
so much fun. So I fully agree in that regard. Yes.
Yeah, because like I mean, it really reminded me. I don't know, like if this is intentional, but the whole thing that they're doing with this, with Gen 10 so far, with like from these leaks, it's giving me a lot of like Zelda vibes. Like I don't know if it's like intentional, because like the whole game, for example, is feeling very Wind Waker, like with just how like you have like a boat and you have like these islands and you're like sailing around looking for different places and stuff. But then this like stuff where they're talking about like how you have the ability to go to the final boss right away, that is very Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because that's something that they did with those games where you couldn't really ever do that in Zelda games before. But like inside of these games, like once you get past like the tutorial like island at the beginning of the game and you get like full freedom with like Hyrule, you can just go immediately to the castle and fight Ganondorf if you want to, which is something that a lot of people like, because it makes the speed run so fun to watch, where you see like the crazy swords and bows and stuff that people collect as they make their way and then like obliterate the final boss in like less than half an hour. So that could be really cool if they can do something like that for Pokemon.
I think they definitely can, and I think they will. It's just I mean, again, based on what we've heard, there's always a chance they don't. That's like just
Yeah,
the
this could all
reality
be
of it. Of
scrapped.
things,
We don't know
you
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a high possibility. We're just gonna have to wait and see. You know.
Yeah. And then like what you said with voice acting, that's also another big thing that I've always kind of asked for, because I was fine with no voice acting when we were playing games on like the DS, even the 3DS, but once we moved to like having games on the Switch where you see like these full detailed character models talking and stuff, and I'm not saying the entire game has to be voice acted. Like every time I talk about this, people get so mad. They're like, "Do you realize how expensive it would be to have the entire game voice acted?" Like, brother, that's not what I'm talking about. I don't need Nurse Joy to have voice acted lines where she's like, "Hi, can I help you? Can I heal your Pokemon?" Like, that's not what I'm saying. I need just the actual important story cutscenes where they have like those cutscenes where like the characters are talking and like the subtitles are just like those blank boxes where like you see like all the text being like kind of said from the characters. Those are like the high quality scenes that need to have voice acting, because it feels so weird when you just see the characters moving their mouths and it's just like audible silence and it's just like a very faint like background music. So like if we can actually have those pivotal like important scenes have voice acting, I think it's going to make the game just much more enjoyable in general. So I'm really hoping that that is true with this game.
True. I think it's highly possible. Again, a lot of leakers are implying it, and also, if they could do voice acting for Detective Pikachu, they can do voice acting for this. You know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's spin-off games, like their mobile games have it and stuff too. Like there's no way that they can't. It's just been so weird, and I feel like with people asking for voice acting for like years, like this has been something that people have been asking since like Sword and Shield interviews. I feel like they have to have taken the hint now. Like this is something that people really want. So I think Generation X, this is going to be like your big 30th anniversary celebration game. Like this is really the time to finally add it into the series, I feel like, you know?
100%, yes.
Yeah, and then there's some other things that I always talk about too. I don't think they'll ever happen. Multiple save files would be something nice where you can actually just play like a Pokemon game more than once, you know, and not have to worry about like deleting all your data. It's not that bad on the Switch because you can create a new account, but still, that's something that I've always kind of wanted, is just having the ability to have different save slots. It's just really weird how Pokemon always has one for me. And then
Yeah, I think there's the reason they probably do that is probably from how the games are built in such a way where, like, you know, with I think it's in some way probably to stop people from being able to do certain things like duping or whatever else, which I think is stupid because I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do it. If literally any other single player game can do it, I don't know why they can't, but I don't know. It's odd that they haven't had it.
It just feels like it's so like a very like just outdated mentality that they're not really like up to the times with about. It's so weird. And similar to that, another thing that I've always asked for, I don't expect this, but I'm always just gonna say it, I would love for a difficulty option too, where like you can just like have, you know, easy game, normal game, or hard game, and you know, you can actually have more of a challenge with the battles and stuff, and it doesn't just feel like you can get a Gyarados and Dragon Dance once and then sweep the entire game. So that's also another thing, but I don't ever expect that to happen.
I don't know. I kind of doubt they would do it in this one. Remember, it's one step forward, two steps back, so.
Yep, exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, overall, though, I'm pretty excited with what these games are sounding like. I also hope that, like, because they're going to be exclusive to the new Nintendo system now with the Switch 2, that they're actually going to be, like, taking advantage of that and, like, having the games look pretty good, too. I mean, I was pretty happy with like Legend ZA on the Switch 2 being 60 FPS. I'm hoping that they can keep that at least, where like the games still keep the fluid like action when you're like, you know, running around and stuff. Because if we go back to 30, that'd be kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I think that shouldn't be an issue. I think that they should be able to pull that off now. Like, if they don't, that would be concerning.
Yeah, because I mean, there was like a little bit of a discussion on like what people were saying, where it's like, would you rather have like it kind of still looks like ZA, maybe a little bit better, but the game is like fluid in 60 FPS, or the visuals look significantly better, but because it's now in like 4K and like highly detailed, the games go back to being 30? Like, do you have a preference for that?
The thing is, I think there's no excuse anymore to be like, oh, the game can only look like ZA, and that's the only way for it to run 60. I think that's a ridiculous kind of like thing to try to pull off, because they have a good enough console now. No excuse for that. They have a good enough console. They have a good enough what do you call it? They have more than enough time to optimize now. Okay, they have an extra year's worth of time to spend optimizing, adjusting, whatever else. The Switch is supposed to be stronger, right? Way stronger than the Switch 1. And we already know that this game isn't going to be doing some massive, giant like leap in terms of graphics. But I hope that what they do is substantial enough that it does feel like the next iteration of Pokemon. Like, dude, listen, let's put it like this. Dragon Quest 11, okay? Dragon Quest 11 still looks better than any Pokemon game that's came out in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Like graphically, and that's a game that let's put it like this. That's a game that isn't like hyper realistic. Okay. It's not a hyper realistic game. It's a super stylized anime style game. Okay. But the point is, Pokemon doesn't need to look hyper realistic. It just needs to make the graphics that are there good enough or stylized enough and fully commit to that. Like, if you just look at one screenshot, right? Like, just any screenshot of just what do you call it, of Dragon Quest 11, right? I'll even send you one.
I'll have it
just
playing in the video. Like, I'll have it for people who are watching the video. I'll have like gameplay of it in the background.
Dude, it looks so good. Okay, the game looks good for what it is, right? It's an old game now as well. By the way, it's been out forever at this point.
Wasn't
right?
it 2016? Like, I think. Let me check.
2017. 2017 is when it came out. So, and this is how it looks like, right? And this is a game that, like, I think it looks gorgeous. It's an older game now, and it still looks better than the most recent Pokemon releases. This is the bare minimum that they have to do. They just need to achieve this, and they don't need to do anything more. They don't need to upgrade the graphics or make it look hyper realistic, because that's not what it needs to be. This is enough. Right here, what you see, this is enough. So I personally think if they cannot achieve these kinds of graphics minimum, right, and 60 FPS, then I have a problem with it. Like,
I'm
not okay. I'm not okay with ZA level graphics with 60 FPS. No, that's not passable. That's like, you know, that's not fucking worth my money, because like that just what that shows to me is like, okay, you don't have enough passion for these games. You don't have enough, like, I'd rather go play a game from an indie developer who actually spend time and passion and put like a lot of work into it. And again, games don't need to be graphically like hyper realistic and stunning. I love games like Dark Souls, which generally speaking look really rough around the edges, but it's the style that sells it, right? It's the style and the vibe. Like, it doesn't have to be hyper realistic, highest fidelity textures, like, you know, literally like, you know, one-to-one to life models or whatever the fuck. Like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's about, can you make a style that makes me, I want to lose myself in that world. I want to feel like I'm in that world. And I've played games like Dark Souls, which look generally, like, they can look gorgeous with the style and stuff, but graphically, they're not like super hyper realistic. They're pretty stylized, let's put it like that, right? Pretty dark and drabby around the, you know, around the edges. But that's fine because the actual style fits the game and it fits the vibe and it gets me into that world. Pokemon doesn't do the same thing. Pokemon just looks like there isn't any passion in the world. Like, there's no love put into the actual world when you explore it, and there needs to be that there. It needs to be that heart and soul in the game, and that's the only thing I would say in terms of that. Like, so I am not okay with ZA graphics for 60 FPS. I'd rather like them delay this game for another 3 years to actually make it run properly and look actually interesting to play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want empty fields of like not to shit on Ocarina of Time or anything like that, but like I don't want Ocarina of Time looking ass like, or Mario 64 looking like open fields with nothing to do. I want purpose behind the things there. I want a reason for everything to exist. I want it to look like a world that I would get lost inside of. The reason we could get lost in these older games back in the day is because they literally couldn't make it look better than that at the time, right? But also, you had to kind of, as a kid, it's easier to suspend your, like, well, you know, your suspension of disbelief. It's much easier to achieve than it is once you're an adult. It's much harder as an adult to sort of, you know, maybe for a kid, again, if they play Pokemon ZA, maybe it's the best looking game they've ever played. That's fine. But for any older fan, it's going to be hard to be able to look at them and be like, okay, how does this somehow look worse than the last thing they made? Like, that's, I don't know, dog. That ain't it, Chief. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's the only thing I have to say in regards to that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, like what you mentioned with like Ocarina of Time too, is the thing is like, you know, during that time, Ocarina of Time and like the visuals of that game was like the Dragon Quest 11 of that era. Like, that's how people felt like when they played those games, where they were like, dude, I'm getting lost in this world of Hyrule. This is awesome. Like, you know, Zelda's in 3D. Yep. Like, I got this crazy epic story and like this crazy adventure to play. Whereas that's why when you see that type of visuals with a modern Pokemon game in 2026, in the sense of like empty fields, just a couple trees here and there, not much to do, it just feels so weird because it's like I'm not feeling so immersed into the game itself. And you guys know I always like gas this game up all the time, but the Xenoblade games for me, bro, that they achieve that easily. Like, every single time you play one of those games, you start it in the first hour, they'll have you like sunk into that game where the world just feels so nice. Like, the first game came out on the freaking Wii. That is a 2010 Wii game, and it still looks better than a lot of the Pokemon games that we have, pretty much all of them, because they had like the remaster that came out on the Switch where like they updated the visuals and stuff. But like, the environments in those games, they actually feel like you're immersed into them. They look so beautiful, and it makes it fun for you to be able to play the game and go into these different corners and areas and find treasure and all of that. Whereas Pokemon, it just feels like they make like the Pokemon models sometimes look pretty good, and then like the buildings look like garbage, or like sometimes in one of the games the sky will look good but then everything else looks like garbage. Like, it just feels like there's never a balance of everything. Like, I feel like, honestly, like one of the things is like consistency, because like I think that Pokemon like Legends Arceus, like the skies in that game, I think looked really good. Like, at nighttime when you looked at like the skies with all the stars and the clouds, I think that looked really good. Then you go to Pokemon Legends ZA, nighttime the skies look, they're literally just blank black boxes. Like, there's nothing, like there's like a few clouds here and there, and it just feels so weird in like the style, like with like how it goes. And I know it's like a different style with like a modern game compared to like that ancient type of style that they had then, but it's like, then you look at the buildings, and in the buildings in those games in like ZA are like really weird, like low quality, like these like really weird fuzzy windows that are just pasted on and copy pasted all the time. They can't even get like the edges of them to match, where you just see like half a window on like the edge of the building and stuff, and it's just like they don't put any care into like that type of stuff. And then the Pokemon models, like, they look kind of decent, I would say. Like, I liked how like the Pokemon looked in that game, but like there's just no consistency with everything. Whereas like if you play like those types of games with like Dragon Quest or Xenoblade, like what you mentioned, everything has the consistency. The sky looks good, the trees look good, the character looks good, the enemy like monsters look good. Everything there isn't anything that feels so jarring where it's like this looks really out of place. Whereas it feels like every Pokemon game has like one or two things that just don't fit with the rest of the game, you know?
I can put it like this. I think that this is kind of like a comparison would be putting the engine of a Ferrari inside of a Fiat Punto, okay, or like a little like a Mini Cooper. It's essentially you're taking, or like the vice versa would be like putting like the engine of a really small car inside of a sports car, right? Where it's like, okay, cool. That's I mean, sure, it might like one aspect might look good, but then another like aspect might be like the engine. If the car looks good, but then the engine is shit, then what's that doesn't work. But then the other side,
will be awful.
if you have exactly, but you could have a car that looks awful and is not able to handle an engine that is large or that powerful. It's sort of like that kind of like, let's call it a dichotomy between like, the Pokemon games versus other games where other games have a consistent thing where Pokemon is like, hey, we'll give you really, really good combat, but make the entire fucking like experience of the world absolutely drab, right? Or vice versa, they would give you a really fun adventure, but then remove something. Like it's always like something's missing or there is a lack of consistency between gameplay, story, world, characters, character models, environment, textures, everything. Like there's never a consistency between all of those things. But yeah, that would pretty much be my last point in regards to that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think with that, I mean, do you have any other like just hopes and wishes or anything that you'd like to see out of this Pokemon Presents outside of Gen 10?
All I'm hoping for is that they give us like a trailer for Gen 10 that actually shows the game. I don't really care for we already have Champions and Pokopia coming out, so I doubt we're gonna get any other spin-offs. Like highly unlikely. There won't be any mystery dungeons or anything like that. So I'm not expecting anything like that. I'm just hoping that Gen 10 is gonna have like a good trailer, like an actual good trailer that shows off gameplay and doesn't like hide it from us for the next 4 or 5 months. Where they don't show us anything and like, oh, you'll have to wait. Here's just the names of the games or whatever. I just hope they show enough
when they do that.
Stuff,
yeah, that is true because I feel like Scarlet and Violet kind of did that, where like you at the beginning you just kind of got like a little couple shots of like the world and you got to see like the city and stuff, but we didn't even get to see like the starters in the games themselves. Like they just showed pictures of the starters at the end and then the names. So like it would be nice if we actually get like a little bit of like the footage of the starters like inside of the games themselves and like how the actual like battling is going to look like and maybe some of like the world. But you know how like the Pokemon marketing goes, like the first reveal is always so like bare bones. It's just like, here's the logo for the games, here's just like a couple shots of the world, here are the starters, and then it's like now you got to wait till June to get like more, which is always the worst part, you know?
True.
But I do feel like because I feel like they got to understand that this is like a big deal. This is like the big Generation X games. These are like the big games that are going to be on the Switch too. You're celebrating the 30th anniversary. Hopefully that makes them want to like, put more effort into like the first impression that it's going to be for everybody who's going to be seeing these new Pokemon games. So I hope that is the case.
I hope so too.
I actually forgot to mention, this is a topic that I just got reminded of. What is your prediction on the price of these games? Because that is a big thing where like, we saw with Mario Kart, they were trying to charge $80 and a lot of people were saying, dude, they might make like those like really, really like kind of crazy games that they know are going to be selling like insane amounts of units. They're going to try to make those be the ones that they're going to try to get away with selling them for 80.
70.
I would be hella angry if they try to make it 80, but 70, I feel like it just would line up with everything else. But
because Pokemon is always like, okay, they in recent times they have kept up with whatever the pricings are, but if you remember back in the day, Pokemon was always slightly less than whatever, like always slightly less than any other like games that would come out on like the Wii or whatever. When Pokemon was coming out on the DS and stuff like that, it was always slightly lower. Like I remember like when I got them, it was usually around like $45, like not even 50 back in the day. Again, like if you go for inflation and stuff, it would be different. But I remember Pokemon games were always slightly lower than any other Nintendo thing, right? Like always slightly lower. So I'm gonna assume 70 because it isn't like a Nintendo proper. It's still Game Freak, that makes them and everything. And Pokemon has always had kind of like a different kind of approach to the cost, what do you call it, the pricing structure and all that. So I'm gonna wager and say that it's gonna be 70 personally.
Yeah,
If it's 80, I mean, come on, unless you're literally giving me a foot rub with that too, and like a freaking, you know what I mean, like then it's ridiculous. Like, no,
Yeah.
come on. Like,
Yeah,
for
no,
what?
I don't know.
For what though? Like, why the extra $10? There's just no reason for it, because we already know that these games. That's the thing that would piss me off the most, is that we know that these games are cheap to make. We know that they spend no money on these games. We know, based on the leaks, we've literally seen the documents of them themselves saying, "Ah, shit, we spent 15 million on this game. Oh, and how much did they make? Oh, $1 billion." It's like.
Yeah.
No, just no. I am not okay with like them charging $80. Like 70 is already too much.
Yeah.
60 is where I'm like, okay, that's where I drew the line in the past. But like, it's 80 would be just absolutely ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous.
It's just
that's the last thing I've said.
Yeah, that's just gonna be the more important thing to see, because I know like a lot of people were just saying, because Nintendo seems like they're trying to set like this new precedence where they're like, games can be $80 because they did that with Mario Kart, which still got a shit ton of backlash. Like, a lot of people were very pissed about Mario Kart being $80, but that's making a lot of people think like those games that they know are gonna be selling like crazy amounts. Like whenever the next 3D Mario game gets announced, people are expecting that to be $80. Smash Bros on the Switch 2, whenever that comes, will probably be $80. Like, people are thinking that for a lot of like those big games. And Pokemon, like new generations and stuff, do sell a lot, so I think that's like kind of why it was in the discussion. But 70, I feel like that matches pretty much what everything else is going to be costing, so I wouldn't be as upset. I would just be like, okay, that's just the Switch 2 pricing, even though I don't really like it, but it is what it is, So
I agree with that.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see with that. I mean, we're probably not going to even know about the pricing like right away. That'll probably be like until like the second or maybe even third trailer, when we have pre-orders that go up and all of that. So but yeah, do you have any other things that you want to see out of this Pokemon Presents for spin-offs, or anything else that you want to talk about, or
Not
something?
really. No,
that we
in
didn't
regards to
mention?
spin-offs, not really anything. All I hope is just that we get a good reveal for Gen 10, that everybody's, like, as many people as possible be happy, when they see it. That is my one and only wish, to be honest.
Yeah, which
Like, more
unfortunately,
than
I feel
anything.
like the state of Pokemon discussion now has just gotten so bad and toxic online that it's like it doesn't even matter what they do. Like, there's always, like, of course there is room for like criticism and like saying like this could be better and stuff, but like it also feels like there's just a lot of people that like come at you now, because I see it in my comments too, and I feel like just like sometimes how you can just like read a comment and be like, I don't even think that this person plays Pokemon, but they're just like in here and angry about it for some reason. And like it feels like there's a lot of those types of people now. And I don't know why. It just feels like really ever since like that Sword and Shield like announcement at like E3, when they were like the national dex is going to be cut. It's like that was like really like the turning point for all Pokemon discussion moving forward, where it's just we have never fully like repaired from that. I feel like, where it's just like now whenever there's a new Pokemon thing, like people will just get on it to like kind of hate on it, even if they're not Pokemon fans. So it just feels like the actual like kind of niche that Pokemon fans had before that time it's just completely like lost now. So it kind of sucks, because in that sense, like, you don't know like if the actual Pokemon fans are happy, because you'll see all of these posts online that are getting like 30,000-50,000 likes that are like shitting on the game and stuff, and it's like you don't even know if those are like actual fans or not. But yeah, that is one of the things that I'm hoping that at least like a majority of people like within Pokemon fans are excited for the games and that they look pretty good. But yeah, I've just kind of noticed that with like Pokemon discussion, like it doesn't even matter. Like they could announce Gen 10, like you can like literally go into the game. You can be like in the Pokemon world, and there's still going to be people that are going to somehow make up some garbage about how this is like, it doesn't look good or it's bad. Like there's nothing that you can do to win over these people at this point,
No, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I just hope for. That's my only wish. Is a hopeful and good reveal where as many people as possible, not everyone, because it's an impossibility to make everyone happy, but as many as people as possible to be happy with it, and that the overall majority of vibes are good, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be someone, like you said, it's just how it is. Vitriol sells, right? Anger is the
especially
easiest
now
and
on YouTube,
most,
dude. It feels like
yeah.
negativity on YouTube is so rewarded now, where it's like
Oh
everybody
yeah.
is just making videos now to like shit on stuff and like be like, this is actually bad. Here's why you should hate this. This is the worst thing ever. And it's like, it really sucks when you genuinely like something and just want to make a video like talking about how this is actually pretty cool and you're happy for this. And it's like everybody is just like talking about like how this is like garbage. Like it feels like as soon as a new game comes out now, the first video that you'll see all over YouTube is going to be like somebody saying, actually, this is terrible and a big disappointment, you know? It's crazy.
Yep. No, I fully agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I think with that though, this Pokemon Presents, I mean, as long as I think if all of my Pokemon friends come out of it, if you come out of it saying like, dude, I'm excited for Gen 10, I'm liking this, if I come out of it saying the same, and if other Pokemon accounts, like big people who actually play these games are feeling the same, I think we should be in for a good amount of time, and I think the games will be pretty promising. But everything so far, it seems like it is going to be pretty exciting. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. You know, we are very close to it, and yeah, hopefully it does make a lot of people very happy. But
Hope so
yeah,
too.
yeah, that's I think that's gonna be it for this discussion though. I mean, we have been talking for at least like over an hour, it looks like, from what I'm seeing on my monitor here, so that's crazy. Hopefully this video is just gonna be kind of one of those videos that you guys enjoy, just kind of, you know, tabbed out and listen to on the side. And yeah, I mean, I had fun talking with you. It's always fun just having these discussions and talking about Pokemon with you. It's always a great time, and I think it's just better than having like me talking about it alone, you know?
Dude, it's always a pleasure to hop on and, you know, chat with you about it.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And let people know who are watching where they can find you, because I will, of course, have all your stuff linked below.
Sure thing. I mean, you can find me on YouTube. I'm occasionally on Twitter. I don't really use it that much, but I'm there too. But yeah, on YouTube, Ruffle Rallet, just go on there. I talk about Pokemon leaks and stuff like that. So, yeah.
All right, yep, I will have all of his stuff linked below in the description, so you guys can definitely go and check out his channel. He's got a lot of good Pokemon stuff there, so definitely be sure to watch that. And you guys know here, you can always keep subscribing here to this channel, where I'm going to be talking about Nintendo news, Pokemon stuff, and all of that, so I will be making more videos on that. And we will most likely be streaming the Pokemon Presents live too, so that'll probably be fun, because I'm sure it's always fun, you know, hanging out with you and watching those Pokemon reveals. So that'll be pretty good too, so hopefully you guys can come through for those streams as well. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this long predictions video. Thank you again, Ruffled, once again for joining, and it's always fun talking with you. And
sure thing.
We will catch you guys all very soon after we have finally seen the Generation 10 Pokemon games, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of videos talking about all of that, so I'll catch you guys then, and you guys all have yourselves a good one. All right, peace.